Trust me, I get it. You're feeling the pressure to keep your faith separate from your work, worried that pursuing your God-given dreams might be seen as selfish or misguided. For far too long, we've been held back by a world that tells us that faith and ambition don't mix, that our divinely inspired visions are just wishful thinking. But here's what I've discovered. Our faith isn't a liability in our leadership. As a matter of fact, it's the source of our strength and wisdom. When we fully integrate our leadership with our Christian values, then and only then do we tap into that unshakable divine power. The real challenge is navigating how to boldly pursue our purpose while staying anchored in our faith. And that's exactly what the Beacon Show is all about. Each week, we bring you biblical wisdom and practical strategies from true beacons, Christian leaders who are illuminating the world. And it's also that you can let your light shine brighter and brighter. I'm Tamara Jackson, and this is The Beacon Show. Have you ever noticed that when God gives you a vision, it's not always accompanied by a roadmap? Today's guest knows firsthand the challenges of navigating uncharted territory while holding fast to a God-given dream. Dr. Jacqueline King is the visionary behind Black Women Empowered, a thriving online community and ministry network dedicated to inspiring, connecting, and uplifting Black women around the world. What began as a small Facebook group has grown into a multi-platform movement, reaching in the millions. But this journey from obedience to manifestation was anything but smooth. After losing her job unexpectedly, Dr. King found herself at a crossroads. Give up on the vision or trust God to provide? She chose to trust God and watched in awe as doors opened and resources materialized in miraculous ways. For over a decade, Dr. King poured into her community without any financial compensation, fueled by a deep conviction that this was her God-appointed assignment. Her strong faith and resilience in the face of obstacles set an example for what's possible when we say yes to God's call. Now, with the launch of the Black Women Empowered Directory, Dr. King is taking the ministry to new heights, creating a space for Black women entrepreneurs, leaders, and creatives to showcase their talents, connect with each other, and access valuable resources to help them thrive. In this inspiring conversation, Dr. King shares her hard-won wisdom, hearing from God, birthing a vision, building a team, and leaving a legacy. Her story will remind you that no matter how long the journey or how great the opposition, God is faithful to complete the good work that He's begun in you. If you've ever wrestled with questions of purpose, provision, or perseverance, this episode is for you. Get ready to be encouraged, empowered, and equipped to pursue your God-given dreams with fresh faith and tenacity. Enjoy. Well, Dr. King, welcome to the Beacon Show. I'm so excited about the opportunity to have a conversation with you. Here on the show, we like to talk about how wisdom intersects with faith and gives success its voice. And when I think about the word success and I look at all that you have accomplished, all that God has allowed you to accomplish, it definitely speaks to that healthy success that is a blessing to others. So thank you so much for being here with me on the show.
It is my pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, what I want to do to kick things off is really share with our listening audience how wisdom has really played a role in your journey. I know that this has been truly a journey for you, and where you are today is not a place that you saw yourself being, but clearly there was a plan that God had for you. Talk to us about how wisdom has played a role for you.
Yeah, so God gave me this vision some 12 years ago, and I remember I was working for a company, and he really literally told me to quit my job. And I'm like, I don't think so. So ironically, God doesn't take no for an answer. We know that.
Yeah.
So he had me be fired.
Oh, wow.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Yeah. So and I didn't see it as a blessing, of course, at the time. But guess what? He saw me through each and every step of that, even to the fact that it turned out to be a blessing and success. And I started the Black Women Empowered in the midst of that too. So, to me, the Bible says, in everything you do, get wisdom. Wisdom is, that's key. So, I mean, you're a believer and you're listening to him. You're wise if you're listening to him instead of ignoring what he's saying, because it's going to turn out in his favor anyway.
Yeah, that's a lesson that I've personally had. It's not a fun one because for some reason, sometimes we think it's optional to obey, and he's going to accomplish what he intends to accomplish one way or the other.
Absolutely. I'm a
but
witness.
but I think when we have those experiences, though, if we're paying attention, we take them to heart and we recognize, okay, God's not playing with me. The next time he tells me to do something, I had better do it.
Absolutely.
But, we were talking before we officially got on about just how far God has brought you. So after you were let go from your position and you started to focus on Black woman empowered, talk to us about the vision that God had given you for this movement. What were you focusing on, and what were you hoping to accomplish?
Really, it was about him. And I'll tell you, I actually started it after watching the first segment of Black Girls Rock. And I was on the computer on Facebook, and I saw all the excitement. I mean, excitement like we've never seen before. Black Girls Rock, it was everywhere. And so literally God spoke to me and said, so what happens after this show? Do Black girls still rock? It's over. And so that's how I started Black Women Empowered. But the basis, as I saw it, was really for Black women, first of all, to have a relationship with God, to love themselves and love and support one another. In the with Black women, we have a reputation of not working together, not supporting one another. I'm not saying, excuse me, in all cases, but in a lot of cases we don't. We worry about competition. We worry about whatever, and so we don't come together as we could. I just did a commercial recently, talked about Black women spending is at 1.5 trillion with a T.
Wow, that's a big number.
Big numbers. And so if we came together in a lot of different situations, we could change a lot. Mm-hmm. So really, that's what it was about. I never really knew that it would turn into a ministry network. We didn't start off with ministry. We just started off going in a group. I started off just posting, like you see my pictures and stuff. That's all they got. Maybe some scriptures. So I don't even think they had Facebook Live yet when we started. Mm-hmm. And so the thing is, we kept growing, and we went from doing our prayer on the dial-up call-in to doing it on Blog Talk Radio, on Periscope. I'm going back.
You've been through all of it, yeah.
All of it, girl, all of it. And so, so here we are now. We're on every platform there is now. Just about.
And this started off with about 200 women. I mean, it's just hard to, I was sharing with you, it's just hard to conceptualize going from 200 women to millions of women. Do you remember doing anything intentional? Like, did you have a strategy going into this? How did it start off?
No, I didn't have a strategy. So, the women, I just took my friends and put them in the group. Remember how you could just plop people in your group?
Yep.
And so I remember just doing all this encouragement, and nobody was typing anything. And I'm like, okay, God, I don't know if I missed this mark, because nobody's saying, amen, hallelujah, anything.
Nothing.
And nothing. And so it just one day people started typing back. It went from 200 to 2,000 to 20,000. That group now has 200,000 in it, still going. And both of my children are into information technology and technology, period. So my daughter actually started the Facebook page that has 2 million. She got it up to 79 followers or 700 followers, I think it was. And my son started the LinkedIn page. And I just kept it going.
Fair. Wow. When I hear you share and talk about in the beginning, it was crickets. You were not getting any response. Many people in that situation would have given up because they weren't getting that feedback, the confirmation that they're going in the right direction. But there was a spirit of resilience there. What kept you going? What kept you showing up and encouraging and supporting these women when you were not getting the support and encouragement from them that you were on the right path?
Yeah, so after that whole thing with me losing my job and God coming through in a big way, he showed me that was what I was supposed to be doing, because losing a job and having zero income, he showed up like people wouldn't even believe the way he showed up in my life. And so I knew this was not optional. Regardless, this is what he said. I was clear on it. And we talked about faith today. So, my faith, I believe that this is what he said. And I don't believe that God gives you a vision without a provision. If he said do it, he's going to provide the means for it to come to fruition.
Mm-hmm. Amen. So let's talk about some of the specifics of how you empower women. I was checking out some of your content, and there was a lot about advocating for women, even from the standpoint of how we look at beauty, being able to be comfortable in our skin, have our natural hairstyles, all of that.
Did you read that article?
Yes, I did. So I'm curious, why was that such an important stance to take? And I will tell you, from my point of view, I remember when it was not accepted at all to have natural hair. Now it seems like it's a new day, but you were taking this stand when it wasn't popular. Why was that so important for you?
Well, actually, when I worked in corporate America, it wouldn't have worked. But I was reading about so many women who were being let go from their jobs because they refused to have straight hair. And that's what really made me write that article, because I think I put in one of my posts, and there might have been that article, that they said, well, why don't you just wear your hair natural? Well, this is my natural. This is it.
This is it.
I was born. The other way is unnatural, because I got to work at
all that work, and it's a lot of work.
It sure is. So I think I just had empathy for my sisters who were being targeted because of how they wanted to dress or how they wanted to wear their hair. I was a recruiter for the largest electric and gas company in New Jersey. And I remember working with, I went into the school systems to talk about working at the electric company. And I remember telling them, in life, you can choose to do anything you want to. You have choices. You can tattoo all up and down your face. You can have a gazillion rings and nose rings and all of that. I said, but I promise you, when you come to work there, you're not going to get the job. I said, and you will not be able to prove
Yeah.
that you didn't get the job because of that. You won't be. No, you just won't be. So I think that society has gotten better since, I retired a long time ago, but I think society has gotten better at embracing people for who they are. I'll tell you what company is really the best that I've ever seen was American Express, and that's the truth. I've never seen a company to embrace diversity like that. I worked there for a little while. You could come in there with blue hair one day and green hair the next. I'm being honest, because there was a girl that did it. She changed her hair every day to match
Wow.
their clothes. So just
That's a lot.
accepting people for who they are
Hmm.
and where they are. But that was important to me at the time, especially seeing my young sisters struggling and losing their jobs because of being who they are, who God made them to be.
Amen. So what do you think is the big thing that is maybe standing in the way or causing challenges for Black women now? Like we talked about, now it's kind of the norm for Black women to wear their hair natural, but what still remains a challenge for Black women as you see it?
Pay equality,
Mm.
pay equality, and actually fear. I talk a lot about this because if you can take the talents and gifts that God gave you and turn it into a job or a source of income, you can, it can be done. But I think that in many cases, we have so much fear of the unknown. Investing, I love a quote that Jordan said. He said, "I've failed 1,000 times." I have too. I've had so many businesses, I can tell you, side businesses that have flopped. And I've had some that have done well. But it's a faith walk.
Hmm.
You just have to take the chance, and it's not all going to be good. We talked about that today. Sometimes God will let you fail because he's got something better for you, and that wasn't what he was telling you to do anyway. You didn't hear it right.
You were doing
So
your own thing.
you were doing your own thing, and I've done my own thing. I'm sure everybody has, but that doesn't mean that you stop,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
if you stop, you will never get to where he has purposed you to be in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's as I was listening to you share that, it's so true. I've seen it in my life too. It's like sometimes I'm like, God, I wish you would have stopped me. Like, why did you let me do that? But even as I was thinking it, as you were sharing, it came back to me that he's able to work all things together for our good, even when we're not doing the right thing, when we're not on track. There's going to be something good that's going to come out of it. And I believe that it just helps us. Ultimately, it helps make us better. It helps to develop our character so that we can, when we do get on the right path, we can operate in integrity and put people first, things of that nature. So it's all accounted for. It may not have been exactly the path we should have been on, but it's still accounted for in God's plan. So I hope that will encourage someone that's listening to us. Even if you've made a mistake and you feel like you got off course, that doesn't mean that it negates God's plan for you. What is important is to once you realize that you're off track, is to listen, listen for the voice to direct your path forward. I think it's also important, Dr. King, to have good people in your life that can help be a voice of wisdom too. Talk to us about some of the people that have been instrumental in the journey of getting where you are today.
I have an amazing team of ministers, men and women that have been with me, and I've had a lot of them that have left me. One thing about it is that everyone cannot go the whole journey with you, and they were never intended to. Some people are there just for a season. They did their part, and it's okay for them to leave. Um, the team that I have now, they have been with me for a good long time. And it's important to have people around you who are positive. Negative people can suck the life right out of you and make you, question your dream, what God gave you, if you will allow them to. So for me, it's important to surround yourself with positive people. And one thing about a visionary, which I see, I'm sure that you are as well, God gives the vision to the visionary. He doesn't give it to the people. And so if you got people that are trying to alter your vision, then they're not supposed to be part of it, because he didn't give them the vision. And so, yeah, just I mean, my mother, I would say, would be the best influencer for me. She passed away in 2004, but she was a very strong Black woman, and she had so much confidence, and she poured so much into my sister and I. So that would be my biggest influence. But I've had many great people in my life. Dr. Joyce Haddon, Dietrich Haddon's mother, is a good friend of mine. She's one of my favorite influencers. I have so many that I can't, start naming, because I'm going to leave somebody out anyway.
I'm going to get you in trouble.
You're going to get me in trouble. But I've had a lot of great people in my life that have helped me make it to this point.
Yeah. You talked about having positive people around you. And as you were sharing that, you were talking about, it sounded like members of the team that are working with you to keep the vision moving forward. Some people that are listening to us right now may be working solo, but they're starting to recognize there's a lot on their plate and they're going to need help. Can you talk to us about how you made the decision of when it was time to involve other people and some of the things that, looking back, are really important to look for?
I've always had a team. I've never felt like I could do this by myself. I've had a much larger team at times, and the smaller team works better for me. Thank God for technology. But but yeah, no man is an island. That's why, to me, the directory, which we'll talk about, is so important, because you can connect with people that you would never meet if otherwise. Put your zip code in, and everybody up in your zip code will come up. This is a community. It's not just a directory, it's a community of like-minded people. I might have something that you need for your business. You might have something that I need for my business. I might want to interview you and I didn't know you, but I can send you a message right there and say, hey, can you come on my to me, it's a total game changer. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about the directory. When did you first get the inkling that was something that needed to happen for the community? And then talk to us about how you got it off the ground, because everyone, you've got to go check out this directory, because I've seen a lot of directories, but this is hands down the best one that I've seen. It's so robust. It has so many great features. This was not an easy, at least outside looking in, it doesn't look like this was an easy project to make happen. So talk to us about how this all came to be.
Well, God gave me the vision years ago, and I just could not for the life of me figure out how to pull it off. I couldn't. And so here we are, the end of 2023, and he brought it back to my remembrance. And so I did some research on it and found the platform that I wanted to use. I designed I'm a techie. If you look at all those videos, those commercials, I create all of them. I create a lot of stuff that's on our social media page that's not live. So designing websites is like nothing for me. But when I saw this platform, I was like, oh, no way. It's just too complicated. I can't do it. Well, God connected me with the right person who was also a Christian woman. And she built that site in 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2
Wow.
weeks. And this is how I know it was a God thing, because guess what? She didn't know anything about Black Women Empowered. And she didn't ask me anything about Black Women Empowered. She pulled that together with just on her own. And
Wow.
that's the truth.
Wow.
So it was time. It
Hmm.
was time. And you know, so I never set out to do anything for money. I've been doing this for 12 years and not getting, and my ministers is not getting paid a dime. It
Wow.
wasn't about money. It was
Hmm.
about ministry. But God said, it's time for you to make money now.
Hmm.
You've been helping people, you've been empowering people, you've been letting people come live on your show, you've been doing this, you've been doing that. It's time for you.
Hmm.
And the money is nothing. I mean, if you take $97 and divide it by what?
We spend more than that at the drive-through on a weekly basis. It's nothing compared to the value of what you're delivering. But some people don't know. So talk to us a little bit about all the amazing things. You were bringing me up to speed on how I can maximize my listing, but we want to make sure that everybody knows some of the amazing features that are built in. So give us a sense of some of the things that are unique maybe about your directory.
Well, the 97 is the basic. So if you decide you have the 97 and you look at it and you say, no, I really want, more features, you can upgrade and you'll just be paid, charged the difference. So the 97 is the basic. The 175 is the annual. With you can get into 5 listings. With the 97, you can only get in 1. And with the lifetime, to me, the lifetime is a no-brainer, because you don't ever have to pay again. You pay $450 and you never have to pay again. You can get it 10 categories, and you can have a sub website. So if you have a church and you have a book, you can put them on 2 different ones. Now, I just found this out myself.
You still discovering features of your directory?
I am, but that's pretty good. You can have several categories. So you can go in, once you put in your profile, you can decide what category you want to be in. You can connect your YouTube videos, your TikTok videos. If you're on TikTok, you can connect your podcast, your online store. If you have an online store, you can connect that. People can send you leads. Now, you know how people pay for leads. I had a friend who she joined immediately and she got the 175. She put a course, by the way, if you have an online course, you can put it on there, because we have events, it's under events. She got 12 leads in 15 minutes.
Wow.
When she put her course up. So it's, to me, I mean, we only launched February 1st for Black History, and we're only going to grow and get better. But, get in on the ground floor. Yeah. Now is the time to get in, because we'll be growing, and you can say, because I promise you, those prices are not going to stay there. That's not going to be our price forever.
No, by the time you listen to this, it might be different. So whatever it is right now, definitely take advantage, because it's clear in listening to you that God is doing something through this directory that is unique and is special. And it's just so inspiring to hear that you even were doing this for 12 years without any type of compensation. So your faithfulness definitely speaks volumes here. At the same time, you did get to a point where God said, okay, now it's time to monetize this. Someone listening to us may be struggling with that. I will tell you that in my conversations with Christian leaders, sometimes there's a hesitation around monetizing because maybe of how they feel they will be perceived by others, their own concerns about charging, if you will, for ministry. How do you reconcile that? Did you experience any of that, or were you just like, okay, God, let's do it?
Well, no, because I mean, I've been pouring into people's lives for 12 years for free. So it didn't bother me, but the thing is, um, we have a nonprofit too. So we give, I mean, we have been giving for 12 years, paying people's light bills, water bills, phone bills, Christmas toys, coat drives, food drives for 12 years. We are an agency here in Fort Wayne. So people can come to us who are hungry, and they can get 150 to 100 pounds of food a month for free. The agency pays, our nonprofit pays for the vouchers. They get a voucher, they can go shopping and get meats and breads and all kind of stuff for free. So no, I don't feel guilty at all about monetizing, because it's time. I'm doing more traveling now. I have expenses. I've always had expenses, but I've always paid all my expenses. I don't feel guilty. I'm doing speaking engagements. So yeah, I need the money. I don't believe that God intends for us to struggle, especially if we're doing his work. And so I don't feel guilty about it. Now, if you're doing it for greed, I mean, we see all kinds. If you're just doing it because you need a new Bentley or whatever, I'm just saying, and I'm not calling anybody out, because everybody got to deal with on their own. But God knows your heart, and so you can't. You might be able to fool the people, but you can never fool God.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. Amen. So if you're serving, if you're pouring into others, there's no reason to be concerned about being compensated. To your point, there's expenses, there are things that you're doing. And I like to think about it too, Dr. King, is in order for your impact and your influence to grow, you can't stay where you are, and it takes money to fund all of that. So it's important, as you're listening to us, to recognize that the vision that God has given you is big, and in order for it to impact the thousands, maybe even millions, we're learning from Dr. King here today, then you're going to need money, honey.
Money, honey.
The world still, it operates on money, and so we can't get around that. It's important to be prayerful, and God opens doors. He connects us with different people. At the same time, there's still money that's needed to make things happen. So step into it. Operate in integrity. I heard you say that. Make sure that your focus is on the people that you're serving, but also remember that you need financial support in order to really serve your audience. So thank you so much for that. I want to talk about what's next for Black Women Empowered. You got the directory up. It will continue to evolve, and you'll see your community on Facebook and all the different social platforms continue to grow. But what do you see happening next, or do you guys have any plans for the future?
We actually do. We're working on right now. We're working on a live event in New Jersey. We actually have done live events. When I lived in North Carolina, we did quite a few. We brought Vicki Winans there. We had a huge event. It's on our YouTube. We had 30 female vendors there. We had power speakers, and we had Vicki Winans. We've done, and like I said, we did a cruise. We did a cruise in 2016. We did a lot of local events at hotels and stuff, but this event that we're planning on doing in New Jersey is on a very big scale. I'm talking celebrity gospel artist, recording artists and stuff like that. So that's what we're working on now. More than likely it'll be in 2025. But yeah, we since we made it through COVID, we're getting ready to hit the streets.
Yeah, it's time to be on the move now. So you have the big event coming up in New Jersey, and I think we talked about a cruise too.
Yes,
So
our
cruise,
cruise, our 20. So our theme for, I don't know if you know it, but our theme for 2024 was Christian Women Level Up. And our sub thing was I Want More in 2024. We started pushing that the end of last year, and all the women were like so buzzed. I want more in 2024. Now, I'll be honest with you. We were going live, and I'm like, okay, we got it. But honestly, I didn't had no idea how I was going to pull that off. And then the directory, I'm serious, I didn't know how I was going to give these women more in 2024. It's the truth.
but that's what God gave you. Said we're gonna go with it.
We're gonna go with it. But not just that, ministry. Dr. Nikisha Hammond comes on every Tuesday, and she's been doing this probably about 5 years and does mental health moment. She does that out of the goodness of her heart because she's very highly paid. I know she's paid because I brought her to an event that I had one time, but she goes and gives tips on mental health. So we want our followers to be balanced. We want them to be mentally, professionally, spiritually well-rounded. Dr. David Ajabadi comes on. He's been doing some series on dementia and vitamins and stuff that we need to be. So we focus on the spiritual side, but we focus on a lot of stuff. So we will continue to bring people that are going to help you in your walk of life. Life is a journey. And if we don't take care of the temple, it's going to tell on us.
Yeah, it will. And so I'm glad to hear that you're taking that holistic approach, because career success certainly has its place, but it doesn't represent all that we are. And I believe, as you have shared, that God wants to see us really thrive, but that's not just financially, it's also mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. So, Dr. King, it's hard to believe. I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, wow, we've been having such great conversation. I want to, as we prepare to round out our interview, I want to talk about legacy. One of the things that has become clear to me over the last year is we don't know how much time we have left. Nobody, right? And so we get up every day and, we've got the gift of today and we try to maximize it and do what God is calling us to do. But at some point, our time will be up. What is it that you hope will be the legacy that you leave for future generations when all is said and done?
Absolutely. So Black Women Empowered will be here forever. A lot of us don't do succession planning. I came out of corporate America, so I know how big succession planning is. So I have a plan, and I do want to leave a legacy for my children and my grandchildren. One of the things that I'm big on is life insurance. We've not talked about that. I haven't really found anybody that I want to bring on as a big supporter, because see, for me, it makes me upset when I hear that you got to do a GoFundMe to bury a relative. When you're young, you can get a policy, and you can get a huge policy when you're young, and keep that going just to cover your expenses or whatever. So to me, that's part of legacy. You have got to be prepared. You are going to die. That nobody's been able to avoid that. Okay. Nope. So preparation is so important. like I said, Black women power, I believe will go on forever. But we have to think about, what are we leaving our children and our children's children? And it doesn't have to, you don't have to leave them millions, but what you don't want to do is leave them with the stress of trying to figure out how to bury you and how to pay your bills off and all of that. That's crucial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think sometimes we think, even though conceptually it's not possible, we think we're going to live forever. And talking about things like dying and insurance, for some people it's a scary topic, so they avoid it. But what I'm hearing you say is, no, we've got to have a plan. We've got to have a plan for our lives personally, to make sure that we can take care of our family, and whatever is left behind when we transition, that they're in a position to take care of it, but also plan for the mission that God has given us to continue in our absence, right? So when I hear you say that, to me, it means that you're thinking about, even though you're here and you're at the helm right now, you're thinking about how you can set it up for long-term success. What do you think are some of the key things for a leader that maybe doesn't have your background in succession planning? What should up and coming leaders be thinking about if they want their project to live on?
Succession planning. You've got to be prepared to have somebody that knows how to do what you do in the event that you're not there, because after that, if you take it to the grave, that's the end of that vision dies with you. That is not good. My assistant knows everything. She knows how to get on everything that I have, and she's young, but you have to be prepared for this. I mean, it's not an option if you're a leader, unless you just want to take it to the grave with you, which is not good. Have somebody that knows how to do what you do, that can carry on in the event. One of the things that I've been thinking about as of late, I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and we just had our election. Of course, we had election in November, and we reelected our mayor, who I believe, I don't know how many terms he's had, 5 or 6. And so his wife died a month ago. She had pancreatic cancer. And he came out this week and said that it looks like he's going to die. So I think that he is prepared. He is prepared because, I mean, he probably had some warning. But what if you don't know? You have to have, even down to your passwords. My mother died at 63, and she had a book. She had all her passwords written down in them, all of her special notes. It was so easy for me to wrap up her business, because if I didn't have the passwords to her AOL account or bank account, I mean, if I didn't know where her will was and all of this stuff, this is stuff that we need to be thinking about, especially Black people. You know, I had a cousin that passed away recently, and her kids couldn't find her will. They don't know where it is. I don't know what they're going to do. This was an educated woman. These are things that you need to be thinking about, not just in business, but in life.
Yeah, 100%. As I heard you sharing, I was thinking about, I lost my mom last year, but she was so prepared. I mean, it was still work, but she was so
yes,
prepared, everything was written down.
It is work, but it would have been a lot harder if if she didn't have everything in place, right?
Absolutely.
That's where we lack. I'm seriously thinking about doing a series on wills and trust and probate. I have someone that can do it for me, And I'm seriously thinking about doing that.
It's needed. And, I think one of the things that's really amazing about the platform that you've built is you've built a community of Black women literally around the world that are looking to you for guidance and advice. And so they're looking for more in 2024, but you can also leverage the platform to help them say, girl, you need to get some life insurance and you need to get your will done, And so I think that's also, when you become a beacon, you have the ability to speak into people's lives in a way that you may not have had otherwise. And you're able to put things on their radar that they're not thinking about. And that's really our role as leaders, is to nurture and care for those that we've been entrusted to lead. And it's not just what they want, but it's what they need. And so now you have a platform through Black Women Empowered to be able to bring this much needed conversation to the forefront. So thank you for all that you are doing. I want to make sure that our listening audience is able to check out the directory, stay up to date on everything that you're doing. So we'll make sure that we include all the links. So please make sure that you get on the directory, get your membership. You've heard from Dr. King that the prices that she talked about today will not be there forever. So get on the bandwagon early before the prices go up. But bigger than that, this is an opportunity to be a part of a movement that God has put in motion to be a blessing, not just to Black women, but to the world overall, right? Because we talked about, listening to the numbers, $1 trillion. I mean, that
1.5 trillion, girl.
1.5 trillion. That is a huge impact on the economy. So the more that these Black women thrive, the more we all will be in a better place. Dr. King, thank you for all that you're doing and for being here with us today. We wish you Godspeed in all of your future endeavors.